How is everybody doing today? My name is Master Zero, and if you're anything like me, the Paris Catacombs is something like it makes me in awe, man. Like, every time I think about it, I'm just like curious at the fact that like it's just there, you know, like just human bones pretty much scattered all across, making like vast sculptures and just shapes like hearts and crosses and stuff like that, and just like walls just decorated with skulls. Like, it makes me wonder like how it got there in the first place, and like just everything that coexists with that, you know, like the fun facts and stuff like that. So I'm gonna give like a little brief history of like what the catacombs is and like how it was made to be, and also some key facts that I found doing my research and stuff like that, you know? So this should be a really fun and exciting video. So right off the bat, in case you didn't know, it's an underground ossuary in Paris, France that holds a history steeped in necessity, creativity, and mystery. Initially, the area where the catacombs lie was used for limestone carrying from Roman times through the Middle Ages, creating a labyrinth network of tunnels beneath the city. By the late 18th century, Paris faced a dire public health crisis due to overcrowded cemeteries. Notably, the Cimetière des Innocents, I'm gonna butcher a lot of stuff, so bear with me here, which was overflowing and contaminating the local groundwater. In response, in 1786, the city began transferring bones from the cemeteries into the abandoned quarries, thus birthing the catacombs. So I honestly had no idea. Like, obviously the limestones to make the city in the first place had to come from somewhere, so like making like a maze structure, if you will, like underneath the city, that makes complete sense, you know? So thus the history was made of the catacombs, of like how it started. It wasn't like supposed to be a cemetery or just the buried remains of dead people, you know? Like, it did originally have a purpose. The transformation from mere storage to something more visually striking began when workers known as fontes started arranging the bones into patterns and designs, turning this ossuary into the almost artistic display. So that's what I was talking about at the very beginning, you know? Like, sometimes when I never personally went, I would love to go one day because it fascinates me so freaking much, you know? But like, that's where we see like the skulls makeshifted into like crosses or like barrels and stuff like that, and I'll get to that during the fun fact section, I guess is what I'm gonna call it. This work continued into the 19th century, creating unique artistic visions seen today. The catacombs were opened to the public in 1874, beginning not only a solution for the urban population, but also a symbol of the city's history. They became a place of intrigue, attracting literary figures like Victor Hugo, and later, during the 20th century, a backdrop of various cultural references in literature, film, and music, and video games, I might add, because Assassin's Creed Unity, of course, Assassin's Creed being one of my favorite game series known to mankind, you know, I started with the second one, but in Assassin's Creed Unity, there's actually like a mission dedicated to the catacombs where you have to like target and stop this one dude, which we'll get to during the facts, you know. Today, the catacombs are a major tourist attraction, offering a glimpse into Paris's past while reminding visitors of the city's complex relationship with the concept of death. Only a small portion is open to the tourist, but this section alone provides a haunting journey through history, art, and the human condition. The catacombs remain a testament to Paris's innovative approach to urban challenges, its unending fascinations with the mysteries beneath the streets. Alright, so the little brief history is over, so like, that literally fascinates me so much. Not only the origin, but like how they managed to like solve the problem in the first place, because like the land and the water supply, everything was basically getting contaminated with the overpopulation of the cemeteries and stuff. So they thought like, hey, why not just like move the bodies into this like catacomb thing? It wasn't the catacombs at the time, but like, you know what I mean? Like just to move the bodies down there, and like you could argue that that's kind of like disrespecting the dead and stuff, but they somehow made like it connect with the art and stuff like that, as obviously Paris does in the first place, you know? Like, they're always so like fascinated with like not just life but also death and the history and music, and everything just coexists into the catacombs. So it's not just like the chaotic like aspect of it that's just represents death as a whole. Like, it represents everything, man, and that's what I honestly love about it, you know? It's not just shrouded with mystery, but it's also like, hey, here's this like beauty amongst the death, you know? So the first fact I have is the vast network. The Paris catacombs stretch for approximately 300 kilometers, about 187 miles, though only a small portion is open to the public. This vast labyrinth was originally part of the stone quarries that provided the material for many of Paris's historical buildings. So like I stated in the beginning, you know, like, it didn't originally start as the cemetery. Like, it started with just like getting limestone throughout the city to help build other buildings and stuff like that. Like I just stated, like historical buildings and stuff. So another key fact I have is mushroom civilization. At one point, the catacombs were used for growing mushrooms. Some stories suggest that the deserters from Napoleon's army discovered the ideal conditions for mushroom cultivation in the tunnels. So that's another kind of like wacky fact, I guess. So they saw this location that was like obviously kind of like swampy and everything and musky and stuff, and they thought, hey, this is a perfect location for growing mushrooms. So they decided to make like mushroom farms and cultivations and stuff like that down there, which in and of itself is like another kind of step into the direction of like death and life and stuff, because like fungus you could argue is just like bleh, like gross and stuff, but it is plants essentially, you know, like it is stuff growing out from the ground, so that represents life as well. So one fact that I have down here is going to be the next one, but like this one like literally fascinated me, that made me like want to do the video in the first place. Like yeah, I was fascinated with the catacombs already with like movies like As Above So Below and like I stated Assassin's Creed Unity, but like this one really like shine the light, I guess, for the topic of the video. But there was a secret cinema and restaurant. In September 2004, police discovered a secret, a fully equipped cinema in the catacombs, complete with a restaurant and bar. It was set up with professional phones and power lines and also surveillance cameras, just in case, you know, they didn't want to get caught. When the police re-entered the area, there was a note that warned, "Do not try to find us." So in and of itself is like another shroud of mystery, you know, like not only did they find like a working cinema down there, but they also found like a restaurant and a working bar that was connected to the cinema. So like someone there, I don't know if it was like a private group or someone that we're going to talk about a little later, you know, but they like full edge had parties and stuff down there, and like whenever the cops tried to like confiscate everything was completely wiped out and gone, and then there was just a little note down there that said, "Do not try to find us." So that's kind of like, I don't necessarily mean that's on the like spooky side of it, but that's like intrigues me so much, you know, like where did they go? Like what were they watching? Like I have so many questions, man. So obviously there's like a plenty of ghost stories and stuff talking about the catacombs, or like people that visited the catacombs, you know. There was ghostly voices. Legends say that after midnight, disembodied voices can be heard in the catacombs, attempting to lure visitors deep into the maze where they might lose their way. So that's kind of like, I don't want to say like Scooby-Doo-esque, you know, but I do believe in like spirits and not necessarily ghosts, but like when your soul leaves your body, like you could get trapped in here in limbo and stuff and just like destined to walk the earth, I guess. So like whenever you hear like a disembodied voice like trying to lure you into the catacombs that like you're not supposed to go, like chances are, like that being like a huge maze in and of itself, you know, like chances are you're gonna get lost, as we're gonna notice later on, you know. So this one I thought was very interesting as well, the Cataphiles. There's a community known as the Cataphiles, urban explorers who venture into the restricted areas of the catacombs for adventure, art, and even host secret parties. So maybe that group had to do with the cinema and the restaurant and stuff like that, you know? So they have their own culture, mapping out the tunnel for safety exploration. So that, it's kind of like rock climbing, or like when you try to find caves and stuff like that, or like what's the one where you go underwater and you try to explore stuff that way. Like there are like, I guess you could say adrenaline junkies, like people that want to explore places that nobody's been to before, and like the catacombs in and of itself is like a really good spot to have that, you know, because like not necessarily saying that like it's undiscoverable, because obviously there was people there or it wouldn't have been made in the first place, you know, but like the fact that like it's not open to the public, I think is what intrigues these people the most. And in all honesty, it intrigues me, you know, because I always like to like walk out in the pasture and stuff like that and just explore, dude. Like exploring is so fun. So if you were to do it like in the catacombs, like underneath Paris itself, like I think that's fascinating so freaking much. The Lost Souls. Numerous tales existed of explorers who entered the catacombs and never returned. One famous story involves Philip Aspart. I again apologize that I butchered the name, because I know I did. A doorman who entered in 1793 to fetch liquor and was found dead 11 years later near the exit he has missed. So talk about like bad luck, man. I don't know if it's bad luck or like discombobulation, or kind of like how he stated, like a ghostly figure like trying to trick him to lead him down a different path other than the exit. But that's the dude that like you have to track down and assassinate in Assassin's Creed Unity. So it kind of goes full circle, you know, like, but for the fact that like he was found 11 years later, like that's sad, man. Like not just for him, but for the family and stuff. And like I can imagine what he was going through, because like obviously the catacombs is like pretty dark and stuff, especially during that time, you know. Artistic bone arrangements. These bones are not just piled, they are arranged in macabre yet artistic patterns, including hearts, crosses, and even a barrel made out of bones to support the structures. This was not done only for aesthetics, but to convey religious messages about mortality. So that's kind of like the whole like staple idea, like the key factor of the catacombs is like, hey, we're not just doing this for like art, but we're doing this for to like spread the message of like life and death and everything that coexists in this like world that we live in, you know? And just imagine like stumbling across like the wall, even if you're on a tour, you know, like stumbling across like a wall made of human skulls to begin with, but also those skulls are like makeshift into like a heart or like a cross, or like I think I also did research and stuff, and there was like a wine cellar down there and everything, you know? So like everything about this place just fascinates me so much, man. So it also had World War II use. During World War II, both the French resistance and Nazi forces utilized the catacombs. The resistance used them for hiding and planning attacks, while Nazis established bunkers with traces still visible today. So that's what I think is like, whenever you think Nazis, obviously you think just the scientific experiments that you know they worked on and stuff, and like I'm pretty sure half of it's not even public, but like to use a place like the catacombs as their like field of research, not necessarily field of research, but one of their locations for research and stuff like that, like in and of itself, that just gives me the heebie-jeebies, I'm not gonna lie, because it's like, yeah, you could argue that like ghost stories and stuff like that, but when you get into like Nazis, like World War II and stuff, like that's cutting the real world, man. That's whenever like the dread becomes reality, and it's very, very scary stuff, you know? And also like the resistance, like using that to like plan attacks and stuff, so it being underground, like I can't imagine like the surprise attacks and stuff that they end up doing. Illicit activities. Beyond exploration, the catacombs have been used for illegal activities like secret raves and even criminal acts. In 2007, robbers accessed the apartment's wine cellar through the tunnels. So can you imagine that, man? Like you're just chilling in the apartment one day, and then like out of nowhere you just see the floor open up, and out of nowhere, like from the catacombs, you see like the catacombs underneath it, and like people are just like taking your wine and stuff. So that's kind of like crazy, man. Like I can't imagine like how many more are like that, like using the catacombs obviously to like take the limestone up to the city levels. Like there has to be exits and stuff that maybe a lot of people don't even realize, and some might have been like buried underground, like lost to time. So again, the catacombs are rifled with ghost stories. Visitors have reported hearing whispers, seeing shadows, and feeling touches of unseen hands, adding to the site's eerie reputation. So kind of like not just like you hear ghostly voices and stuff like that, but you also feel people touching you and stuff that aren't really there and everything. So like obviously, like it being the spot that it is, you're like surrounded by human skulls and remains and stuff like that, so like your mind starts racing and stuff, and like maybe you see stuff in the shadows and everything, and who knows, it could be like actual spirits that are trapped underneath there, you know? Like there are plenty of instances where people have gotten lost and died down there, so who's to say that it's not like actual spirits? So in June 2017, two teenagers aged 16 and 17 got lost in the catacombs for 3 days. They were located by search crews with sniffing dogs in the rescue operation. Now, I did try to like find more information about this. I found one article from CNN and stuff, but like that's literally all I got. Was I put like the key notes into this note thing here, but like that's literally all it had, was like, hey, these teenagers got lost for freaking 3 days, mind you, but luckily they did find them thanks to the sniffer dogs, and someone did report that was doing the search and rescue, you know, like they said without the dogs we would have never found them, so they must have been extremely lucky. The Passer Through Walls sculpture. So the Cataphiles created a sculpture inspired by the French tale of a man who could walk through walls, symbolizing perhaps the freedom and mystery of the catacombs themselves. So again, we have like the artisticness behind it, like also like the meaning of life and death, and like what necessarily like the catacombs represent in and of itself, because you could argue that the catacombs are used to walk through walls, you know, just underneath the walls, mind you, but they're like for the Cataphiles to like make this sculpture of this like quote unquote man, you know, this figure being, like imagine seeing that thing like just when you turn the corner and you just see that sculpture, like then that in and of itself is freaking terrifying, man. Like I wouldn't want to see that thing at all at night or anything, which in the just the shadowy figures of the tunnels, you know, I'm sure it's brightly illuminated for the tours, but like just the fact that like just seeing that thing and like what other sculptures are down there that we don't know about and stuff, you know? So like all in all, like the catacombs, like they really fascinate me so freaking much. Kind of like I was talking about like the As Above So Below horror movie, like I really do enjoy that, even though it's kind of niche, I'm not gonna lie, you know, it's kind of like B-grade horror. But like Assassin's Creed Unity, like those are just like during my personal life, you know, that like the pop culture that I really like latched onto during my life, you know? Like, I love horror movies and I love Assassin's Creed, and like, for them to actually utilize the catacombs like the way that they did, like, is nothing short of amazing, man. Like, kind of like keeping the flame alive, if you will. And like, they also do tours and stuff like that, obviously, as you would, like having that underneath your city as itself, you know? But like, it just fascinates pretty much every single person. I know it fascinates me like a lot, and like, I really hope this video had like some key facts that y'all guys never knew about, or like the history, because I had no idea like how it was made to begin with. Like, the fact that like it was just a way to like get limestone throughout the city, but then you had like a problem, so you're like, hey, let's kill two birds with one stone. We have these like quarries underground, like might as well just put the human remains down there, and like, why not make it like fun, I guess, lack of a better word, you know, like to make it like appealing for the population and stuff like that. But all in all, man, like this was a very fascinating just like deep dive into the catacombs, and I really hope y'all guys like enjoyed this format, because I do want to like continue, maybe talk about like just like the Mothman, for example, or like the Goat Man or Goat Lady Bridge and stuff like that. Like, these types of stuff like fascinates me, where it's like it is out in the world, you can visit this type of stuff, but like the mystery of like what is actually down, in this instance, down there, you know? So all in all, man, I really hope y'all guys enjoyed this. So thank you everybody so much for watching. Leave a like down below, subscribe, ring the bell, become a member, you get videos a day early, and check out the merch. So with that said, I have been Master Zero. Y'all guys have been fantastic, and I will see y'all in the next episode. Later days.